and welcome to this episode of the Takarazuka fan podcast, where we talk about Takarazuka! Yay!
Yay!
Today's show is going to be about our favorite vampire Takarazuka productions. I'm Carol, reporting from Tokyo, and with me are...
Jeanette from Germany.
And Lisa, also from Germany, and we are coincidentally sitting in the same room.
Yes.
Yay, how efficient! Okay, before we go into our favorite vampire shows, let's start talking about the happy things, the Takarazuka things that have made us happy this week. Lisa, how about you start?
Well, my happy thing this week is that we are getting even more people into our new Senka. Right now, the new Senka is about 90% former Tsukigumi actresses, but we'll see if we can't kidnap some people from other troops too. So I guess this is a welcome to Nagi Narumi, and good luck.
Yes! Yay! I gotta say, I'm really curious about what kind of shows she's going to be doing as a Senka member. It's always exciting to see them getting new challenges this way.
Yes, and so far she's the one Senka member who has experience with girl roles as an otokoyaku, I think.
Well, there's Sakurama as well.
Do we count that one show? We do.
It's been more than one. She's done a Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah, okay, but...
Cock. And a few
Also, it's
reviews
2 shows.
in a skirt.
Okay.
But yes, Nagi Narumi definitely has a lot more experience than she does in that kind of thing. Okay, and you, Jeanette, what is your happy thing?
My happy thing for this past weeks is that Miyarurika will stay in Tsukigumi for a bit longer. I was afraid she might leave together with Ryo Masaki, but it's not announced yet that she's leaving, so I'm happy. Yes!
Yay!
Taidan avoided.
Yes.
At least someone's staying in Tsukigumi.
Yeah, we're not getting them all yet, but I'm crossing my fingers that we might also get to steal Miyaruri.
She will be an interesting addition to Senka as well.
Yes.
Okay, well, my happy things, I have a list.
Oh, wow.
You could have done this for all of us, you know?
I'll try to keep this short. My first happy thing is seeing Vampire Succession in Yokohama the past weekend. It was really great to see the show again after Osaka. And more than anything, it was really great to see the show with a lot of good friends and to be able to talk to them and exchange opinions and ideas in between the shows. So that was really fun. The second one is that I finally got to see Komori yesterday.
Ooh!
Yeah.
I'm not going to talk too much about it because we already done an episode about it. So listeners who are interested in Die Fledermaus, Komori, please check out episode 10. But I wanted to talk about one of the ad-libs that they did. Yesterday, the evening show of yesterday was the Shingi Koen for Tokyo. And so one of the ad-libs they did during the show, it was during the Entertainer, where Hokusho Kairi came out in this old dude costume that she wore in Hanagumi's Ocean's 11. And it's a scene between her and Benny. And Michan comes on, and Benny asks her something, and Michan was like, yes, no, I'm really worried about my grandkids. And everyone was like, grandkids? And she points at the 2 otokoyaku who were walking behind her, who are like helping her out in the scene, which happened to be, if I'm not mistaken, Shidoryu and Aya Oka, who play Falk and Eisenstein in the Shinko, so Michan's and Benny's roles. I'm just like, yes, they have this performance tonight, and I'm really worried about my grandkids. So she kind of pushes the 2 to the front, and like the whole audience is clapping, and these 2 like young otokoyaku look absolutely terrified. And this attention that I'm pretty sure they were not expecting. So Michan turns to Benny and is like, so, you're coming to see the show, right? Like, you're coming to support them, right? Then please support them. And Benny like, yeah, of course I'm going to see the show. But, like, shouldn't we have them, like, say something to the audience? At which point, one of, I think it was Shidoryu, just, like, drains completely white. And, like, they push them to the front, and, like, she clings to Ayaoka. And they're just, like, staring at the audience, like, as if they don't know what to do with themselves. Like, she just, like, leans in. And I think she had to use Benny's microphone because I think they were not mic'd up for the scene. So she leans in and goes, yes, we'll do our best. To thunderous applause from the audience, it was great to see them getting this attention, well-deserved attention, because Komon is a really difficult show, especially voice-wise. Like, it's a vocally very difficult show. And it was great to see them getting this attention and just see, like, Michan and Betty having so much fun torturing the poor baby.
Help, my top star is bullying me.
Yeah, that was I'm really glad I could see that. It was a lot of fun.
It sounds really adorable.
And my third thing has to do with Hokaze Narumi, a former Yukigumi Otokoyaku who retired, I think it was Lupin III, who has recently picked up a new job as a teacher for young children up to the ages of 5, a vocal trainer. She gives classes at this school like once a month. And she had her first day this week, and she posted a blog post about it. And like the previous teacher was also a former Takarazuka actress. So the kids are sort of familiar with what Takarazuka is, but because she wanted to explain it to them, she brought like 3 DVDs for them to watch, or like to show them a little bit. But before watching the DVDs, she thought, like, to show how an otokoyaku is, she sang a song from the Heroes of Versailles a cappella. And she writes that when she started singing it, that the children just like doubled over laughing at her otokoyaku voice. And she writes, well, I guess like me, we're having a long hair and wearing a skirt. It must have just looked really weird, like me looking like a girl while singing with my otokoyaku voice. So apparently one of the teachers that was there just asked the kids, okay kids, close your eyes and just like concentrate on Narumi sensei's voice. So they did that, and she tried to sing again, and the children laughed again. But then one of the kids apparently goes, well, you sounded like a guy, it was weird. I was like, well, that's the whole point.
That's why I'm doing this. I've been training my whole life to sound like a guy. Stop laughing at me.
Yes.
And so later on she showed, I think it was a review from, a Congratulations Takarazuka review, and she writes that the kids were really like, paying attention and smiling and apparently enjoying it. And then one of the kids points at the screen and goes, is this you? And it was Kazuho who he was pointing at. So Narumi writes that she was really unsure how to react. Like, she wanted to say, no, it's not me, but like, what does the kid know? They probably look all the same to those kids. So she was like, yeah, that's not me, but you know, yeah, like that. That's kind of what I looked like back then. And it's just so cute. Like, the whole post is so cute. I'll put up a link. Well, Jen will put up a link when the post goes up, and it has a really cute picture of her teaching those kids. And definitely recommended reading for those of you who want a good laugh. So yes, good luck to her in her future endeavors as a vocal teacher.
This is again proof that Takarazuka only consists of 5 people in very crafty video editing.
Definitely.
But good to know that Kazuho might have picked up some younger fans.
Yes.
Younger fans.
What is this invasion of 3-year-olds in the theater?
Good luck to Narumi Sensei, like, raising a new generation of fans.
Yes. Please do your best, Narumi Sensei.
I think she will.
So yes, those are my happy things for this week.
Yes, you should do our happy things for us.
Yes.
This just happened to be a really good week, Takarazuka-wise.
Very good timing.
Yes, definitely. Oh yes, for the listeners, I should point out that we've been trying to record this particular episode for a month. And things keep going wrong for everyone. Like, there was an earthquake in Tokyo the other day, and then there was technical troubles the other day, so yeah.
We've been trying really, really hard to get this episode out, but apparently it's cursed because the vampires don't want you to know that they actually exist.
Yeah.
Yes. But we'll do our best today to get this episode out to you. Fingers crossed that everything will go right. Okay, so without further ado, let's talk about some vampire shows. Lisa, you had the oldest one, so why don't you start?
That you call this old is actually making me feel really, really old.
Oldest, not old. The least recent one.
Okay, that's better. So the show I want to talk about is Bara no Fuin, or Seal of Roses, which is a moon troupe show performed in 2003 and 2004, and it was actually the tie-down show of the then top star Shibuki Jun. And the full title is The Seal of Roses, A Vampire's Requiem, and it has a lot of characters. It has several time jump because the whole story spans about 700 years. So I'm going to try and make this as short and precise as possible.
Good luck to you.
Yes. Especially good luck to me because I keep being distracted by the shirt competition that was going on. I'm going to talk about that later. So the actual play starts in the year 2003, in which the play also was performed. And it starts in the Monastery of Roses, where they are trying to film a vampire movie. They're trying to do this as a part of a charity event that's going to take place, but neither the lead actress Cassandra nor the actual star who's playing Dracula Clifford are really getting into the mood. It doesn't work very well, and everybody storms off just really angry. After they have all stormed off, Jennifer, who's a member of a historical team that's researching the abbey, comes on stage, and apparently, watching other people rehearse makes her really tired, so she falls asleep there and dreams of a vampire named Francis. She's very attracted to Francis, and she's not sure if he's actually there or not. So she's very excited about it, and she tells the others when she's awake again. And apparently, there is a diary of a knight named Francis, which is being read to her to tell her more about the person she dreamed of. And this leads us to the first actual part of the play, which is the Knight Francis. And it's set in the Valley of Roses in the year 1314, where Francis, a Templar knight, is given shelter by a young lady named Lydia and the other people living in this valley. I am not sure how Francis is still a Templar, because if I'm not mistaken, the Templars were already dissolved for 2 years and all burned. So maybe this is why Francis is running away. And he's hiding out there. Other than Lydia and her father, who is the leader of the valley, there is also a monk named Michael. I'm really hoping I'm pronouncing this right. If I'm not, please let me know in the comments, and I'm terribly sorry in advance. It turns out that all people who are living in this valley are actually vampires. And because Francis seems like such a good guy, the village chieftain, who happens to be Lydia's father, offers Francis to marry his daughter and become the new chieftain of their vampire tribe. Francis is apparently a bit puzzled by that, and he wants to think about it. So he talks to Raphael, who's the father superior of the monastery that the tribe is guarding. And in this monastery, there's a cross that has 5 roses made from jewels inside of it. And those 5 roses are said to contain the souls of evil vampires. There are monks guarding the cross, and one of those monks happens to be Michael, who's really in love with Lydia and is understandably very upset about the fact that Francis just walks in there and gets offered her hand in marriage.
I understand.
Yes, although he's a monk, so he maybe shouldn't be lusting after a woman, but that's a different story.
Details.
So, with Michael being super jealous of Francis, he pulls out the cross that was tangled in the roses, which breaks the seal that was holding those evil vampire souls so far. Those vampire souls now all seem to possess Michael, who's suddenly turned into a very bad vampire who is lusting for world domination. In order to keep Michael from doing that, Lydia gives Francis an immortal soul, so that he can succeed as chieftain of the tribe and can try to stop Michael. Michael, however, manages to escape, and now Francis, immortal and without anyone to guide him, has to start wandering the earth and try to find those 5 roses to lock up the bad guys again. Apparently, finding those roses takes a really, really long time.
Oh, it's 5 tiny roses in a really big world.
Because the next time we see Francis, it's actually the year 1666, and we're at the court of Louis XIV, who is known as the Sun King. And at this court, Francis, who poses as part of a gypsy dancing troupe, gains the favor of the king by dancing really, really well. And you could think that things are actually looking good. They are not looking quite as good, because there's a mysterious fortune teller at the court called Madame Noire, who possesses the prince's younger brother, played by Ozora Yuhi, while the king is played by Kiriya Hiromu, for those who are interested. And by using the younger brother of the king as a proxy, she starts turning people at the court into vampires.
Oh.
Now we might have an idea of who Madame Noire is, because it's actually Michael in a dress. which leads to quite a bit of confusion when the veil comes off and Francis unmasks him as the vampire. And we have this hilarious scene with King Louis just staring at the fortune teller and going, "What? You're a man!" While Michael is busy taking out 3 palace guards who are trying to kill him with spears. Again, Michael manages to escape, and it takes Francis almost another 300 years to find him again. This time he finds him in Berlin in a tango club in the year 1943. 34, I'm sorry. And of course, Michael, as the bad guy he is, has sided with Nazi Germany, while Francis is posing as a count who helps especially Jews escape from Germany.
Mm-hmm.
They're meeting in a tango club, there's a lot of fancy dancing, and again, Michael manages to escape from Francis.
Francis is not very competent, is he?
Francis is not very good at catching Michael because he's too busy saving all the other people that Michael turned into monsters or tried to kill.
Okay, fine, I'll forgive him.
This time it doesn't take him 300 years, it only takes him around 70.
Oh, he's getting better.
Because now we're
Progress.
back in the present day. We're back in the year 2003 in the Monastery of Roses. Now we can also guess where this mysterious Valley of the Roses was before.
Mm-hmm.
Because it turns out that this was the place where it all started. Michael by now is the president of a pharma company who's producing, well, rejuvenating creams and stuff.
Uh-huh.
And Michael, of course, shows up in this valley.
Mm-hmm.
And as coincidence would have it, Jennifer is wearing the last rose that he actually needs as a part of her dress.
Oh.
So Michael, of course, tries to steal that rose in order to actually fulfill his dream and get the 5 roses together and get world domination.
Mm-hmm.
But Francis, who has only appeared in a dream so far, also shows up to confront Michael and actually bring an end to this whole story that has lasted for around 700 years now.
Mm-hmm.
Talked about like this, the show itself sounds a bit confusing, but it is a really fun show and it played really well to the strength of Shibuki-jun and to what Moon Troop was at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Because while it sounds very serious, it has a really, really fun topic about it. There's a lot of dancing, and Shibuki-jun is known for being one of the, I can say one of the best dancers in the recent Takarazuka history. She's known for doing the, I say more cracky kind of dances.
She is.
The more challenging choreography.
Challenging choreography. The very innovative kind of choreography.
Mm-hmm.
And it is really fun to see. It's a really fun show because it allows people to showcase strength in different roles.
Mm-hmm.
Since Francis is traveling through time so much, we get to see an incredible amount of really beautiful costumes.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the final. I really love the final of the show because there was so much chemistry and you could feel just how much the troupe had come together and how sad they were about actually seeing Shibuki-jun part.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, there was also excitement because Ayaki Nao, who's playing Michael,
Mm-hmm.
also was there to succeed her, and you can see this handing over the reins in a way.
Oh yeah, I always love it when I do that.
Yes. And I think I need to explain about this shirt controversy.
Yes.
The shirt controversy is the fact that Francis is a very attractive man. Francis is very popular with the ladies, and Francis knows that he's very good looking, and he tends to wear his shirt open really, really wide. Like, it's the kind of wearing the shirt open that makes you wonder, how exactly did you do that? And it might take you a while to find out just where exactly they put the glue so the shirt wasn't just going to fall off. Or fall open. And as if this wasn't bad enough, in the Shinjin Koen, where Hokusho Kairi actually played the role of Shibuki-jun, apparently Hokusho Kairi thought that this wasn't far open enough yet, so she had to open the shirt a bit further. If you ever have the chance of checking out this special Shinko, check it out. Only for the mystery of how this shirt stays on, I have no idea. I literally don't.
I have to say, as someone who has watched both the home Koen, like the main show, and the Shinji Koen, the only things I remember are the shirts and Ayaki Nao in the dress.
The dress is also a very special dress because it keeps showing up in the most random Takarazuka shows ever.
Yes.
And it's the Madame Noir dress and it's everywhere.
Yes, it is.
I do remember it was in a. I'm quite sure I've seen it in the Treasure Sword of Habsburg.
I think it was in Lucifer's Tears as well.
Yes, and I think it also was in Napoleon.
It's a well-traveled dress.
It's the dress
Yeah.
that keeps on giving. So yes, that's it from my side. If you can check out the show, please do. It's a really, really fun show. And it's really worth seeing. Especially seeing a vampire masquerading as a gypsy, charming the king by being better a ballet dancer than the king himself.
That's innovative, yes.
Well, it might be true since the Sun King was known for being really crazy about ballet and actually dancing himself.
This is true, yes.
I'm just not sure upstaging him was the way to his heart, but apparently it was.
Okay, thank you very much. Jeanette, you're next.
Yes. I want to talk about Silver Rose Chronicle, which is a show from Yukigumi and performed in 2007. It wasn't a major show, it was only in the Theatre Drama City.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore the cast was a bit smaller, and the leads were Aya Bukimao and Otsuki Sayu. It's a very cute and fluffy vampire show, especially compared to Bara no Fuin.
Excuse me, Bara no Fuin is very fluffy. Look at the hair.
But not as fluffy.
I maintain that my vampire has fluffier hair than yours.
Yeah, okay. And this show also has a short time skip, because we first introduced to Ellen Jones, who does a movie. It's called Silver Rose Chronicle, about a girl named Rose, and she appears to be a vampire. And Rose and Ellen are in love, but unfortunately they're parted.
Mm-hmm.
And Ellen dies without ever meeting Rose again.
Mm-hmm.
And several years later, we meet Elliot Jones, who is the grandson of Ellen.
Mm-hmm.
And he works for a pharmacy company.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what exactly they're doing, but as always, pharmacy companies are a bit scary.
Mm-hmm.
They're supposed to be doing military experiments, I think.
Oh, right, yeah. And Elliot happens to be a vampire nerd, like a real nerd as you imagine them, with thick glasses and messy clothing style and wearing squared pants, and I don't know.
I love his sleeve protectors, I have to say. Elliot
Yeah.
wears the most awesome sleeve protectors ever. They go up to his elbow.
Yes. And he's as well a bit awkward when it comes to social interactions. Like, he talks very loud. And I think he's also a bit awkward. And one night he meets this girl outside, and his first reaction was Rose, because she looks exact like the Rose from the movie of his grandfather.
Mm-hmm.
But actually she introduces as Annabelle,
Mm-hmm.
and she moved in next doors with her older brother Christopher.
Mm-hmm.
And of course Elliot falls in love with Annabelle. So basically the rest of the show is Elliot trying to date Annabelle.
Trying being the keyword here.
Emphasis on trying.
It's really cute. And protecting her from Van Helsing's grandson.
Mm-hmm.
Who actually happens to be the owner of the company that Elliot is working for.
Exactly. But it's really cute, and Oki Kaname is in charge for the role of Christopher, Annabelle's brother. And I think it was a bit foreshadowing for Oscar and Reinhard.
Mm-hmm.
For Oscar and Space Oscar.
Space Oscar.
Yeah, it's the week, isn't it? It's a very
It is the
Oscar week.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Christopher also gives off this vibe of being a descendant of Todd.
One of Toad's little black angels that ran away and became a vampire.
Yes.
Yes.
Who looks really, really badass, but is actually as much of a nerd as Elliot.
Yes. And Silver Rose Chronicle was one of the first Takarazuka shows I ever watched, and it's still one of my favorites because of the great music. And Aya Bukimao is an amazing singer, and Otsuki Sayu as well.
Mm-hmm.
And although it's only a small show, it has lovely dancers in it. So I can only recommend it.
Okay.
It's definitely really adorable.
It is.
It is a really cute vampire show.
It would have been a candidate for the Valentine's Day episode too, I think.
Yes.
I think we mentioned it somewhere in the Valentine's Day episode.
Yes,
Probably.
I think we did.
Listeners, did we mention it in the Valentine's Day episode?
If any of you remembers if you mentioned this in the Valentine's Day episode, please let us know. I think we're now getting to the part we've all been waiting for, Carol.
Yes.
Oh boy. So, Vampire Succession. I tried to write a short, concise summary of the show and ended up with 3 pages, which I abandoned. So I will try to do this as short as possible, but I apologize in advance if I start rambling. And I'll try to keep it somewhat spoiler-free in case we do get a DVD and people want to watch it. But in case there are any spoilers, please beware. So, Vampire Succession is a Soragumi show that ran until last Monday. It ran at a theater drama city at the beginning of May, and then at the new Kanagawa's Arts Theater at the second half of May. And it was Makazu Suzuko's first lead since she transferred into Soragumi. It's a very contemporary vampire story in that it's set in 2015, so it's set in like last year, and it has a lot of references to pop culture and fairly modern things that happen in the world, including the World Trade Center incident, and just things like AKB popping up and a lot of like very modern things. And in that sense, you can feel a certain shift also in the way that vampire entertainment is being written nowadays, or like lately, in that it has that kind of Buffy/Twilight feel to it.
Please tell me he's not sparkling more than a usual Takarazuka vampire does.
Well, his clothes are very sparkly. Does that count? So it has that kind of vampire living amongst humans, and like relationship between vampire and humans being like the core idea, core theme of this show. So yes, the show is set in New York in 2015, and it's hard. One of the things that make it so hard to give a concise summary of what happens is that while the cast is small, there is a lot of stories like happening at the same time and intertwining, which is one of the things that I enjoyed about it. As well, it's a lot about Alucard, like the vampire main character. There's lots of like little stories going around him, and it's not only about him and his love story with Lucy, but as a lot of friendship and him fighting about things about love and about life and death and what it means to be human and what it means to be vampire. So Alucard, he is a vampire who, if I understood correctly, and please feel free to correct me if I get anything wrong here, because there was a lot of speaking in this show. He is a vampire who has lived for close to 700 years, and he undergoes this process of hibernation, which I think also appeared in Silver Rose Chronicle, in that the vampire should go to sleep for a prolonged period of time and wake up in a different era. He woke up most recently now in the 21st century in New York. And the thing with Alucard is that during this process of waking up and sleeping and waking up, he undergoes a sort of, how could you say it, a change. He evolves, I guess, into a being that is like halfway between being vampire and human, in that he doesn't need to drink blood anymore to survive, and he can get out in the sun provided that he has a lot of sunscreen and like doesn't stay out too long. But he still faints at the sight of crosses, and he can't stand garlic. So he's in this weird place between being like a vampire, an immortal being who doesn't like get hurt, who doesn't die and doesn't get hurt very easily, to being a human, in that all these things that apply to vampire don't necessarily apply to him anymore. Yes, now it gets complicated.
It isn't.
You can do it.
Thank you. So the show starts with this meeting between representatives of various fractions like the CIA and FBI and like scientists. who have discovered this online report on the internet that show pictures of the same guy in different historical settings, usually wars, which brought us the most beautiful. Like, I never thought that I would ever see Takarazuka's face photoshopped into historical pictures. There's a picture of her, like, standing next to Abraham Lincoln.
Did they take Todoroki Yu's picture as Lincoln and just put Makaze Suzuho?
They should have. No, they actually went with a real historical picture. They should have done that.
They should have done that. It would have been way funnier.
I know. I have to.
Like, you could have put her next to Todoroki Yu as Lincoln, and then Yuzuki Reon as Napoleon, and just keep going.
Right? It would have been so good. That's a great idea. You should be writing the shows. No,
I should be doing their props. Yes.
Sadly, no, the one with real historical pictures. But I have to say, adding to what Lisa had just suggested, I have seen on Twitter and other places that fans have been photoshopping her face into, like, stage pictures. So there's a picture, for example, from Ichinana Hachikyu, the show that Tsukigumi did in 2014, 15?
15.
Yeah, last year, which is like a story about the French Revolution, and they put a picture of Seijo Kaito's character, and then with the French guard behind her, and one of the French guards, they photoshopped Makaze Suzuhu's face on it and stuff like that. So the fans have definitely thought of this too.
I like that one.
We should put a link to this. It sounds really funny.
Yes, I'll look it up again because it was a great picture. Yes. So yes, it's always funny it was funny to watch that in the theater because when the first picture pops up, her face is a bit blurry. And you can't quite see, but people kind of chuckle. And the second picture pops up, and people kind of chuckle too. But the third picture is the first color picture of the 3 set, and it's so funny. It's I don't have words to describe it. I think it's supposed to be from the Vietnam War. Like, they zoom in on her face, and that was the point where the whole audience just lost it. So they're talking about this guy that has apparently lived for all these centuries and keeps popping up. And then there's a very recent picture from the 9/11 incident where there's a guy in, like, a firefighter's clothes saving a girl from the building who looks exactly like the guy in the other pictures. And they're like, oh my god, this guy has been living through all these periods in history, and he appears to be in New York at the present. So, like, is he a vampire? What is he?
He's Keanu Reeves. I don't know if the writers were aware of this, but there's this meme that has been going around for a while, and it points out how Keanu Reeves looks exactly like portrait pictures from earlier times.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, it's exactly like that. So yeah, no, he's not a vampire. He's Keanu Reeves.
Mystery solved. Show over.
Show over. Bye.
Okay, so one of the people in this group is Herman, played by Mitsuki Haruka, who is a leader of a private military company, whose interest in finding this vampire has more to do with wanting to create, like, super soldiers than anything else. And the other party interested is James Sutherland, who is a stem cell scientist, whose interest has to do a lot more with his own research. He does research in, like, regeneration and, like, wounds that heal very quickly and stuff like that. So those are the 2 characters that are interested in Alucard and who appear very often throughout the story as a sort of enemy to Alucard.
James is played by Hanagata Hikaru. I was wondering for a moment if she was playing Herman, but then I thought, no, she wasn't playing the crazy German, was she?
No, she is playing the crazy cell-science.
The crazy German, wow, thank you.
What? Crazy Germans are a topic.
I know.
So, the picture of the vampire, like the guy saving the girl from the crash, was taken by Neumann Helsing, whose surname might be very familiar to anyone who has read any vampire thing ever. Who is a descendant of Professor Van Helsing, who is a journalist. And they discuss how Helsing also later on discusses how he went looking for this guy because that picture was his big scoop, like it was the thing that made him famous as a journalist. But apparently there was no record of this guy existing. And they talk about how he might have found a dead firefighter's clothes and put it on and run into the building to save people. The scene shifts to showing Alucard saving this girl, who is Lucy Slater, played by Hoshikazu Madoka. Oh, sorry, Helsing is played by the lovely Aizuki Hikaru. Yes, but more on her later. So the scene changes to a flashback of Alucard saving Lucy Slater, played by Hoshikazu Madoka, in the building. She had gone there with her parents at her request, and both her parents die at the crash. He saves her, and she grows up to become a dentist student. No irony there.
Never irony in dentists falling in love with vampires.
So Lucy Slater has grown up. She's studying to be a dentist. She still remembers these big memories of this person who saved her, but she has no idea who he is. Her ex-boyfriend in childhood, friend Randy, played by Kazuki Sora, with gorgeous blonde flippy hair.
Gorgeous blonde flippy hair and the worst name.
Yes. So he wants to get back together with her. He's a bit pushy about it. So she goes, okay, so we're having this party for Van Helsing's new vampire novel. Do you want to play the vampire role in this sort of short play we're having to celebrate the show, the book? And he's like, oh yes, no, I'll do it. If I do it, will you come get back together with me? And Lucy just looks at him and goes, yeah, sure, what else?
And then I'll break up with you 5 minutes after that.
The scene changes to introducing Alucard properly as the present day Alucard and his friendship with Helsing in a really hilarious, really long scene that must be super tough on both Makaze and Aizuki. It has a lot of dialogue because they had to set up to explain things about Alucard being a vampire and how his whole vampire thing works, as well as his friendship with Helsing and who Helsing is. It's a very long scene for both of them. It also has one of my favorite songs in the whole show, which is called I Am Not Superman, which has Alucard emoing about what he is. He's not a vampire, he's not human, what is he? Helsing says he's a Superman, he says no, I'm not Superman, I'm a monster, so it's more fun than I'm making it out to be. Believe me, you have to take my word for it. Their chemistry was great, and that one scene was enough to make me want a whole series about Alucard and Helsing and their shenanigans in New York.
So we basically are campaigning for a sitcom now?
Yes, I want a sitcom about Alucard and Helsing, and I want Makaze and Aizuki to play in it. I have to say though, Makaze, for this, she has a lot to say in this show. It's a very dialogue-driven show, and I was amazed at how she managed to go from the vampire to the very humorous things that she had to do. But one person who also really amazed me was Aizuki, because she's been doing a lot more comedy lately, starting with, I think, Top Hat. But both Top Hat and the show after that, Melancholic Gigolo, were more caricature characters. She was playing either the Italian guy or the mafia guy. But following up on Shakespeare and this show, she has to do a lot more subtle comedy, and I was really impressed with how she managed to handle it, so props to her for that. Also, I think this is the most lines she ever had in any show.
She's going places.
Yeah. So the thing is that Alucard is working for Helsing as his ghostwriter. The novels that Helsing is publishing are actually written by Alucard based on his previous experiences in his life. Helsing is his only friend, his only close friend. And Alucard has this whole conflicted emotions about being a vampire, wanting to be human, complaining about, he's oh, vampire is such a fragile creature because I can't live without a human to help me out. And they have this whole discussion about what it means to be human and what it means to be a vampire. From that, we go into a scene where Alucard meets Carmilla, played by Dame Urara, who is also a very interesting character. In that she's a Shinigami, a goddess of death, but she's a temp worker. She's not a full-time Shinigami. She says that her boss, who she refers to as the Yomi no Teo, which is the way that their thought from Elizabeth is described in Elizabeth, so implying that their thought is her boss, and at the same time making an allusion to the upcoming Elizabeth production. She said that her boss said that it was too soon for her to become a full-time Shinigami, so she's a working temp. And she and Alucard strike a friendship in that they're both like known human beings. The thing is, because she's a Shinigami, Alucard is the only one who can see her until like the last 5 minutes of the show, which makes for a very difficult character to play because a lot of what Camilla has to do involves her walking around without people seeing her, like being able to interact directly with her. From that, Alucard also meets Martha, who is this old woman living in an old person's home, played by Kyo Misa from Senka. And who I have to say was easily one of my favorite characters. She was such a grandmother. It's like it's especially that you look at her and you I want her to be my grandmother. And
did you tell him to eat enough?
Yes.
Good.
And their interactions have a lot to do with Martha being really old and basically about to die. And her teaching Alucard that humans don't want to live forever, that it's much better to die knowing that you're loved than to live forever. From that, we go to the Halloween party, which Helsing has invited Alucard to do as well. And Alucard, in turn, has invited Carmilla to appear as well. So there's a lot going on at the party.
Hello, nobody can see you. Do you want to come to the party?
Yeah, I think you forgot that. Alucard, for all his virtues, is, how can I say, he's very old-fashioned in his thinking, and he's not very quick. Like, yes, he's a bit slow at times. Which brings another one of my favorite songs, which is the vampire, how do you say it? It's a trial for the vampire, so it's supposed to be, I think, a scene from Helsing's book being played out, with Kazuki Sora playing the vampire and like doing some really, really, really spot on singing. Her vocals were great in the song. It was really good. And it also had Aizuki Hikaru and Hoshikazu Madoka singing, and like the three of them, their voices together were so good. They played out that scene. James Sutherland, the scientist, is also there because he knows some people who work there. So it has a lot going on. It has like Alucard reuniting with Lucy, who does not remember who he is. He knows who she is. He's playing this vampire role. So their whole dialogue is her introducing herself to him and he like saying, yes, no, but I've been alive for 700 years, so I can't say that much about myself in like such a short time. It has a really funny song about Lucy helping Alucard sign up on Face Notes, which is, a very thin whale Facebook. Yes. It's a very catchy number.
Why does he need help to sign up there?
Because Alucard does not do computers. And it's how people like become friends in the 21st century. You get like each other's Face Note. Yes. It's basically to highlight how little Alucard knows about modern life. At the same time, Carmilla appears at the party. And she sees Helsing and is like, that one, I want that one. She's obviously smitten with him, like at the first sight. But problem, Helsing can't see her. So most of that scene is just like Carmilla following him around.
I can't blame Camilla for being smitten with Helsing if he looks like Aizuki Hikaru.
Right?
Right.
Yes.
So it's her following him around, and there's another props to Aizuki Hikaru for not laughing when, like, Rei Murata is right in her face, like, waving a fan right in her face and saying things to her when she's not allowed to react to it.
Notice me, senpai!
Yes.
Damn it, senpai, notice me already!
So, there's that, which will be important later in the story, I promise. And there's James Sutherland who appears there and kind of hints at suspecting that Alucard is a vampire. And uses the party as a subterfuge to get his fingerprints. Later on, we find out that those fingerprints match the fingerprints left at the firefighter's helmet and on I forget, some historical person that they couldn't identify either. So, like, proof that he's a vampire.
How do they have fingerprints of a historical person that they couldn't identify?
Don't ask me. the history and science in the show was definitely spotty at best. But we don't watch Takarazuka for science lesson.
No, we don't.
And this is where, like, the stories start to become, like, entwined. At the party, Lucy asks Alucard to play the role of her boyfriend to get Randy off her back. Because he wants them to get back together, and she's like, no, I'm already dating this person, and pulls Alucard into it. So they start off kind of like fake date, and in this, like, going on dates that are not real dates, but totally are real dates.
Totally not.
Lucy also comes to know Martha, the old lady, and Martha asks Alucard and Lucy to be her family for a week because her husband's death anniversary is coming up, but she's not allowed to go to Boston, where he's buried, on her own. But if she has family to go with her, she's allowed to leave the place where she lives. And her family lives really far away, so she doesn't want to bother them. On the way back from this grave visiting, there's a rainfall, and there's a problem with the public transport, so they can't go back. Thankfully, Martha knows someone who has, like, a hotel-type place they can stay at, and hold below, 2 rooms have just opened up, like, there are 2 cancellations. The bellboy comes up with 2 keys and says, well, we have this place with, like, a shower and this place with a bathtub. And Martha, before anyone else can react, being the cool old lady that she is, grabs one of the keys and goes, well, I guess I'll take the bathtub. Bye, guys, have a good evening. And just runs away. While Alucard is like, what the hell? Shouldn't the women, like, be sleeping together? I mean, if she were in the 7th century, she would be killed for that. And, like, being completely horrified about this idea of, like, spending the night with this girl that he's not married to.
Oh, no.
While Lucy, who's obviously really interested in him, is like, yeah, I can't sleep with the lights off, so, you know, I didn't want to bother her.
Alucard put a ring on it.
I applaud Lucy for, like, Lucy was such a cool character. Because of the dynamics between Alucard and Lucy, Alucard being this most, like, traditionally thinking, like, a bit old-fashioned guy, it allowed for Lucy to be the one, like, doing most of the chasing in their relationship, and it was not as much the cool vampire seducing the girl as much as the girl, like, just going, yo, dude.
Mine now.
Look at this. Which was for me, a really great change from the usual, like, cool vampire gets all the girls type of idea. Because Alucard is many things, but he's definitely not smooth.
Isn't he writing novels? He should know how to sweet-talk a woman.
Yeah, he does it.
Maybe Van Helsing was editing them.
Yes, like, Van Helsing was written, like, the social interaction bits. She has trouble sleeping, like, the light goes out, she can't sleep, so she asks Alucard to tell her a story. As Alucard is telling the story, she falls asleep. He, like, tucks her in, goes sit down on a chair, and in that moment, his inner voice wakes up and tells him, like, bite the girl, like, if you bite her, you can be together forever, like, you can be lovers forever. As he goes to bite her, another voice comes up in his mind of Martha, like the old lady, reminding him of what she said about humans not wanting to live together, that they want to just, that they don't want to live together, they just want to be loved, like dying knowing that your love is better than living together, living forever. So, living forever. So he doesn't bite her, but he gives him, like, this whole thing again, like, the already existing struggle with him between being human and vampire intensifies because now he's starting to fall in love with Lucy and he wants to be with her, but he's a vampire, she's not, and he doesn't want to bite her to make her a vampire.
He's very indecisive.
Yeah. Definitely.
Alucard, man up, make a decision.
So, and then we go into the second act, and this is where it's going to get really spoilery, so people who don't want spoilers, I apologize. This is the time to stop listening. A lot of stuff happens in this, and it's a bit hard to tell it, like, in order, but basically, Sutherland, who now knows that Alucard is actually a vampire, tells her stepfather who is her, like, Lucy's uncle, tells her that he's a vampire. He's like, I don't think he's a bad person, but, he's a vampire, you should know. Which leads to Randy telling Lucy that Alucard is actually a vampire and, like, they should break up. And this whole thing between Alucard and Lucy about her asking him to bite her so she would become a vampire, and Alucard being like, you don't understand what it's be like to be a vampire, and it's whole, like, fight between them, and they eventually break up, go their separate ways. In the meantime, the military people have found that the funds for the research has been cut, which doesn't stop Herman from finding private funds to continue his research into, like, making super soldiers and stuff. But James Sutherland is not okay with that because that's not what he wants to do. Where were we? Oh, yes. Carmilla appears in front of Alucard again. They have an exchange about, like, him wanting to become human, and how to become human he has to love someone, truly love someone, and truly be loved in return, so he can become a human. It kind of sounds like a bit Belle and the Beast there, but
it does.
That's the key to becoming human. And as they're talking, Alucard asks her, so, are you going to become a full-time Shinigami? And she tells him that yes, but actually she's lied to him. And it turns out that Carmilla is not dead. She's actually a woman who has been in a coma for 3 years. But she thinks that she's going to die soon, and then she'll actually be able to become a Shinigami. Alucard wants to stop her, like, that from happening, wants to stop her from dying, so because they just became friends and he doesn't want to lose that friendship. So he goes to bite her, and then Camilla stops him and tells him, no, I'm happy just having been your friend. Which Alucard again goes, am I always going to be in this position when I watch people die around me? Yes. In the meantime, Martha, the old lady, passes away, which leads to Alucard and Lucy meeting up again after a really long time and having this exchange about, like, her pretending that everything's alright and he pretending that he's happy that she's back together with Randy. And after they leave, Helsing tells him that he wants to help Alucard become a human, and Alucard is so surprised, like, how do you know about me helping him become a human? He says, yeah, this woman appeared to me in my dream, and it was the weirdest thing, and she was telling me, like, I can't help him anymore, so I want you to help him. And to explaining about his dream, it becomes obvious that Helsing sort of feels something for this woman that appears in his dream. Not hard to guess who this woman was. It was Camilla. But Alucard decides that no, he wants to go away. He's going to go into hibernation again because, it's just too hard. Dealing with all these people dying and, like, all this, like, losing all these people that were important for him. But as he goes away, Randy comes running with this great news that Lucy has been kidnapped. So then they want Alucard as the ransom. So they realize it must be the military people trying to get to him. So they hatch a plan, which leads into also really hilarious scene of this guy, like, all hunched over with hair off his face. You can't really see him very well, but it's like Makazu Suzuhu's voice speaking, coming up, dragging this coffin behind him, and, like, trying to talk to Herman and his 2 assistants about, like, oh, this is Alucard, he's inside his box, he's sleeping. No, you're not allowed to open the box because if the sun hits him, he will become ash. You're not allowed to open the box. Oh, we'll take off our coats and, like, put shadow over the box, and then we'll use his hand to, like, confirm the fingerprints. And then they go, wait, are you not Alucard? And they take off the guy's disguise, and it's actually Aizuki Hikaru. It was Helsing the whole time. So apparently it's Makazu Suzuho in the wings, like, speaking while Aizuki Hikaru moves her mouth to make it look like it might be Alucard.
Lip syncing. Lip syncing.
So yes, there's some lip syncing going on there. So
that's unacceptable lip syncing in a live performance. I want my money back.
They're cute, so I allowed it. So they confirm that the fingerprints are Alucard. They give Lucy back to Helsing, but before they can do anything else, there's this explosion, and this guy, this firefighter, runs on stage. I wonder who that is.
How many naked firefighters did Alucard leave behind in his wake?
That is a good question.
I'm sorry, but how many naked firefighters are there all over
Maybe
New
he
York
just kept
now?
the costume from the previous one.
But he can't if they had the helmet to confirm his fingerprints. He must
True.
be another firefighter.
Well, he's a pro. So he comes in and goes, "There's been a bomb. You guys have to vacate this facility." Everyone runs out. He reveals that Randy was the one in the box, holding a hand, a prop of a hand with Alucard's fingerprints on it. And as he's getting back with Lucy, they're talking again. James Sutherland comes up with a gun and says this is time for his last great experiment, and he shoots himself, which prompts Alucard to want to bite him and make him a vampire.
Himself?
Yes.
Oh my god.
And as Alucard bites him, James Sutherland cries out in pain. And he goes, "No, I'm not going to become a vampire anymore. My experiment has failed." And Alucard's like, "What happened? You had become a human already." So apparently, in the meantime of him saving Lucy and the reunion was what Alucard needed to become human again. Sutherland dies, sadly.
Maybe he should have tried some less drastic measure.
Yeah.
Well, I think the thing with Sutherland, if I understood this correctly, I'm not too sure about his story because the dialogue was a bit above my level. But I think he had cancer, so he was going to die anyway. And this whole vampire thing was his last-ditch effort to do something with his research.
I see.
And maybe gain immortality, but I'm not sure on that. Don't quote me on this. Don't quote me on any of this.
Mitsuru is really not lucky with her roles, is she?
No, she's not. But she did it really well. She was how do you say? She really managed to bring out this kind of serious, but kind of underneath her scientist bit. There's a kind of a little bit of crazy. Well, someone who has been too close to the paranormal research area.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So Alucard becomes human. They are reunited. Happy ending!
Yay!
Yay! But wait, there was one more plot twist. Later on, Helsing comes on. This is supposed to be weeks later. Helsing comes on and he's like, "So guys, I want to introduce my girlfriend to you." And this woman comes out dressed in all grey, short hair, wearing sunglasses, come on stage, dragging her leg a bit as she's difficulty walking. And he goes, "Yeah, so this is a woman, she was on a coma for 3 years. And I went to research her, I went to interview her when she woke up, and we kind of fell in love." And as he goes to introduce them, she takes off her sunglasses, and it's Carmilla.
Ooh, who would have thought? How many people are there that have been in a coma for 3 years?
I know. So Alucard's like, "Oh my god, it's you!" But she speaks in a completely different voice as the Shinigami Carmilla did. Her style is completely different. And she's like, "Oh, it's nice to meet you. My name is Carmilla." And Alucard goes, "Oh, she doesn't remember anything. Well, it's nice to meet you too." And she introduced herself to Lucy. But later, as Helsing is off hailing a cab, Carmilla turns to him and goes, "Alucard?" And he goes, "Yes." And then she says a line that it was Shinigami Carmilla's line. Her voice changes completely, her whole body language changes completely. And Alucard's like, "Oh my gosh, she still remembers it." And then she goes, "Shh," places her finger in front of her lips. And as Helsing walks back, she just turns into completely proper lady again. And this was the point where the whole audience lost it. Every single time I watched it, the audience was laughing until Aizuki and Urara were out of stage.
Perfect.
Yes.
Yes, it was a great. I think I didn't realize it as much the first time I watched it, but the second time you see that there's all these moments when Helsing and Carmilla happen to be on stage. You see there's something going on there, even though they're actually not interacting directly. And I thought it was a really cute way of wrapping up both their stories.
Oh.
Yes.
It sounds really cute.
It is.
Yes, it was. The story is really complicated, as you have seen from my failure of trying to convey it to you all. I haven't done a good job at it, and I apologize for my failure at that. But like his story is really convoluted. There's a lot of like people interacting. I didn't even speak about everyone. There's just like a lot of stuff going on all the time. There's a lot of intertwined stories, but the humor is spot on. Like there's a lot. It's a very light-hearted show, even with the theme of life and death and people dying and what it means to be human. It is a very funny show. There's a lot of wordplay, a lot of references to Elizabeth, for example.
Yeah,
a lot of references to. A lot of references to like pop culture and stuff like that. Another thing that I really loved, it was the lighting and the setting. Like it's a simple setting, but they still did it really well. It's a really pleasant show to look at. The music is great, and the finale is so good.
No, like, tell us.
They start off with Makaze, Remi Urara, and the other Musume Yaku doing a dance together before they do a reprise of Vampire and Shinigami, their song together. Followed by an Otokoyaku dance, which has Makaze and Aizuki leading the dance in two teams, like the gold team and the silver team, based on the colors of the jackets. So they have a bit of a competition going on there as well. And there's hats, and it's everything I ever want to in a Otokoyaku dance. Followed by a gorgeous like duet dance. And I have to say, I haven't mentioned it before during my story, but Hoshikaze Madoka is so good, guys. Like, someone her age is not supposed to be this good.
And there must be a reason why she got the lead, so yeah, she must be good.
Yeah, no, she has one scene in Shakespeare that's like her main scene that was already, I found really impressive when I saw it. But this time was the first time I saw her like on stage a lot and like singing and like, having to act, and she is great. She's like, there's so much potential in her. She's already so good and there's so much potential for more. And she and Makaze played off each other really well.
I see somebody is converted.
Yes, I've been converted to Hoshikaze. I didn't need much convincing, but
but what you needed.
Yeah, so definitely Musume Yaku to keep your eyes out for. And I wanted to give a shout out to Aishiro Moa and Yuino Kanari, who played Herman's secretaries/assistants, the military guys' assistants. Because even though they didn't get to say a lot until like the second half of the show, they stole every scene they were in. They were so great together as this. Like, they were obviously like his underlings, but at the same time they were so full of confidence in themselves and so sassy. It was a joy watching them act. And furthermore, yes, for Makaze, even though it was a bit of a weird show, it was a really good show to give the audience an idea of how much she's grown. She's got into Saragumi. It gave her a lot of stage time, a lot of opportunities to act with different people, and also to show different sides of herself. There was the humor bit, and there was like the bit where she was playing like the more cool vampire. There was the duet dance where she had to be the more traditional otokoyaku. So it was a really good show. Like, she handled it really well. It must have been a really tough going, but she was great.
I'm happy that you liked it so much.
Yes, me too.
Yes. I have to be honest, the first time I was so confused by the story that I wasn't quite sure what I just watched.
What is this train wreck?
It was just a lot of, whoa, Saragumi is really good! But yeah, it's definitely a show that takes multiple watchings, especially because it's so dialogue driven. It's hard. A lot of the humor is dialogue driven, so it's very hard to catch everything that is supposed to be funny or that's supposed to be linked to the story. They haven't said anything about the DVD yet, but like, there's reports of them having filmed in Osaka, so fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed that we get a DVD and don't have to pray to the Sky Stage gods.
Yes.
Yes.
I really want to watch it now.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, I'm glad. I know I failed at explaining it totally, but I'm glad.
No, you didn't fail.
It sounded like something really fun to watch. I mean,
yeah.
I've seen the gifs that were going around of Alucard and Camilla, and I called a bro GP right there. No,
Alucard and Camilla is so great because there's another thing that's so great. It's a friendship between a guy and a girl. Okay, they're not human, sort of.
Camilla is human.
It's like it's a friendship between a man and a woman that has nothing sexual behind it. It's pure just like they hit it off as being supernatural beings. She's interested in Helsing, he's interested in Lucy, and it's just like this very pure friendship, which was also great to watch because we don't get as many of those, like just guys and girls being friends.
Yeah, it's true.
What do you mean a man and a woman can be friends? I don't understand this concept.
It's black magic.
Oh, and another thing that I really wanted to mention is Kazuki Soda's Randy. Was also a point that I really liked about the show is that he starts off being this pushy ex-boyfriend, like wanting to get back with her, but in the end, he does the really mature thing of realizing, okay, she's happier with Alucard, and from the looks of it, like they maintain their friendship while she's with Alucard, and he accepts that, which I thought was also a really cool thing to show, that it's not just like jealousy and,
Yeah.
Also,
guys being dudes.
also, Alucard is twice his size.
Yes. Yes. Makaze was definitely the taller person in that stage.
I really like that Makaze and Aizuki seem to be getting together so well.
They got to work closely for a couple of shows already, and I have to say I really, really enjoy watching how they play off each other. They have a very good chemistry on stage. Like it feels a lot on the same level, the way they act together, and the friendship between Alucard and Helsing and the humor felt very natural.
That is very good to hear.
Yes.
I have to say I'm a bit surprised at the choice to take 9/11 as the background, but...
So yeah, I know a lot of people, me included, a lot of people were worried about how this 9/11 thing was going to work out. And I think the only reason they included it, because it's not a major plot point, the only thing is only tied to like Lucy's background and how Alucard first encountered her. But I think that the main reason the director chose to include it is to have a major incident, like warlike or international incident, that would place Alucard in a position where it shows him again saving people, like working in a position that allows him to make use of the fact that he can't die that easily. That was both recent and took place in New York, because it wanted to explain how they knew that he was in New York, I guess.
Ah, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because
I think that's the...
Because if you at first only hear, oh yeah, 9/11, and you go like, what? 9/11 in a Takarazuka show, okay.
Yeah, it's definitely a very touchy subject, and I was really worried in the beginning how they were going to handle it, but okay, I'm not American, and so my cultural background is completely different in watching this than someone else might have. But I thought that as far as talking about 9/11 goes, and including it in the show, they did it in a fairly tasteful way. Like it wasn't a major plot point. From what I could tell, they did nothing to disrespect like people who passed away in on that day, or anything that happened on that day. So, I mean, it was definitely better than I expected.
That's good to hear.
That's good, yes.
Yeah.
And yay, we got a full life report on Vampire Succession.
Yes!
Apologies for my incompetence, but I hope I managed to somehow convey that it's definitely a very entertaining show to watch. And if you have a chance and you like Soragumi, because Soragumi really shown in the show, like a lot of people got an opportunity to like really strut their stuff. So if you like Soragumi and you like silly vampires, and silly
Always
descendants of vampire hunters, yes, definitely check this out if you have a chance. It's highly recommended.
I just wanted to say that it's good that Alucard doesn't just feel sorry for himself all the time.
Yes.
Yeah, no, he does have like the sort of like emo kid going on sometimes. I don't know if you watched Buffy, but sometimes he reminded me a little bit of Angel with his whole, poor me. But definitely not as dramatic. It was played up a lot more like humor.
Okay.
That's good.
That sounds pretty cool.
Yes. So this was it for me, I think. Yes, no, let me stop talking about the show.
It wasn't 3 hours long, you lied to us.
Yes, I'm
No, the first version would have been 3 hours long. This was me holding back. So, yes, I guess that's it for today. Yes, we managed to make it work.
Yes, finally.
Yay.
Now watch one of us lose the recording.
No, don't say that. Don't curse it, damn it.
So, guys, if you finally got to hear this episode, it means none of us lost the recording and we finally broke this vampire curse that has been upon us.
Yes.
Yay! Okay, so thank you everyone for listening. This was our vampire episode. I hope we gave you a little taste of what vampire shows are like in the Takarazuka world, and a few new shows to look out for. We love hearing from you, so if you have any comments, questions, please always feel free to drop us a comment in the Takarazuka podcast website, and we'll be all too happy to respond to you either in the comments or in the next episode. Thank you, everyone. Bye!
Many thanks to Michael B. and the Arcanum String Quartet for their wonderful arrangement of Sumire no Hana Sakugoro. And thank you, listeners, for enjoying our podcast.